Hi guys, welcome back to Lika Creations. Today we're going to make a washcloth. These are perfect for face washing or using the shower. The pattern we're going to do today makes it about a 6.5-inch square. So let's get started. First, you're going to need cotton yarn. This is from Dollar Tree, actually. It's not 100% cotton. If you can see, the glare is kind of strong. It's 85% cotton, 15% polyester. It's a 4-weight. It'll still be okay, not being 100% cotton for use as a washcloth. I would not use this for heat-treated things like pot holders because the polyester might melt. This is just a blue cotton millet blend. And with this packaging, it's wrapped around in like a figure 8. And it's very hard to pull the yarn out of it smoothly. So I will undo this and I will roll it into a ball. And so that's what I will be pulling from today. This is the last of one of these balls, which is a very small. It's only 104 yards. And so I made one washcloth and I'm going to make another one, hopefully, with the remaining ball. You need a pair of scissors, which I didn't realize I color matched. But I usually use kid scissors because they fit into my crochet kit. And then you need a 5mm hook. This is just a simple metal hook. So you can use any kind of hook. I'm just going with the 5mm because it is recommended on the yarn. If you can see it. Right there is 5mm or 5.5mm is what's recommended for that yarn size. And then you need a yep, I can't think of it now. A needle, basically. It's a blunt-tipped yarn needle to sew your ends in. Okay, so let's get started. First things first, move this stuff out of my way. And I'm going to leave that ball there, so hopefully it doesn't roll away. But you're going to grab your hook and your yarn, and you're going to make a slip knot. And this pattern is super easy, and it only takes a very short time to do. So I'm going to do part of it with you and then do the rest off screen and meet back up with you. But once you do your slip knot, you're going to chain 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Need more yarn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. And this pattern, we're going to do half double crochets throughout the entire square after the chain. So you're going to wrap around and you're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So this is your first chain and here's your second. So you're going to go into this top loop, wrap it, go through just that first loop, which leaves 3 on your hook, wrap it around, and you're going to go through all 3 like so. Okay, so then the next one, wrap it around, go through that first one, wrap it, and go through all 3. And just going to do this all the way across. If you have to, keep an eye on it because it will start to spin like that. You just kind of keep it rolled away from you so you can see the little, let's see if you can see it. Kind of looks like a V shape. when you're going to that top section that kind of poofs up when you squeeze it together. Just gonna keep going. I find this part the most tedious just because you have to look for the top of the stitch sometimes and keep it from twisting. But once you get the first row done, it'll move very quickly. And then I lost another fingernail, making it very hard to separate my yarn. And this yarn, it likes to spin and get all twisted up, so that's going to irritate me while I'm doing this as well. Just keep going down the row. Like I said, it's really simple once you get started. It's just the initial starting of it that gets kind of time consuming. Oops. I gotta make sure. That's one thing about this yarn. It seems like the fibers really want to come up. Like it has separate, almost like separate yarn strings instead of the fibers. Because if you see, when it's laying on my hook, there's like several little strings there. So you gotta make sure you get all of them in each stitch, or you could have problems with it tearing when you wash it later. Try to keep it in frame for you. And we got about halfway down. And look, I messed up right there. I didn't get that one string in. So I'm going to pull it back out. And just pull slowly, or you're going to end up pulling the whole thing out. So let's try to pick up all those strings now. Okay, got them that time. And it does pay to pay attention as you're going, so you don't have to pull a batch of it back out, because that always bites. Having to frog or pull out everything. And if you don't know what frog means, it's crocheter's term for pulling out your work, because you rip it. It's silly, but what can you say? It sticks. Oh, this yarn. I hate that it does that. Because you pull the pressure off of it, it goes right back into spinning around. That's okay. That's more annoying than problematic. We have, let's see how many we have left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches left. And then row 1 is done. Well, we got to do our chain so we can turn it and go back across, but basically almost done. Do, do, do. And dogs are barking like crazy. I don't know if you can hear them. There's coyotes barking out in the distance, and it is just driving them crazy. So they are barking up a storm tonight. That's okay. Last half double crochet for this row. And it's okay if it wants to spin like that a little bit. It'll straighten out as you go. Looks so neat. Okay, so to finish this row, all you're going to do is chain 1. Like so. And then turn like so. So that way you can go back across. You always want to go from right to the left side unless your pattern says otherwise. Or I guess if you're left-handed, you might want to do it that way too. I have no idea. I am definitely not a left-handed crocheter. But we are not counting this chain as a stitch. So you're going to go into this very first stitch. And that should give you 20 stitches all the way across every single time. See, that one is much easier to find your holes because you can plainly see there's a V. Whoop, perhaps if I have my hook out of the way, you can see the V on the top. But then on the sides, you can see how it kind of splits apart right there too. So that's where your hook goes. Excuse me, got the hiccups now. And you're still going to do just half double crochet. So you're going to wrap it, go through the hole, wrap it around, pull it out, wrap again, and go through all three. And you're going to keep doing this all the way across. And it goes a lot faster. Like I said, see, it's already going a lot faster than the first row went because the holes are easier to find for your hook in this one. I'm hoping now I have a different setup to hold the camera. It's not going to have the fuzzy moments like we've been having lately in some of the other videos I posted. Oh, oops. Try to pull up the other stitch. It's okay. It'll straighten out. I don't think I mentioned it. Why I left a longer strand at the very beginning. But when we are done, you will sew that in and it won't come undone. So you want to start out with a kind of a long string or tail when you do your slip knot. That way you have enough left to sew it in. Because if you just clip right here, it can come undone. And that would not be fun. To do all the work to get it done and then use it a couple minutes and it start to fall apart. So just keep on going. After this round, I will probably go ahead and turn the camera off and continue on and then meet up with you at the end, just so you don't have to get bored watching the same few steps. It's literally the same thing over and over. There's no fancy stitch work going on in this basic washcloth. And doesn't want to go through the hole. Sometimes you gotta wiggle it when you get your stitch a little too tight. Okay. Now this part gets where it gets a little tricky, trying to find the last stitch because it's kind of curved. So I will try to show you more detail. Go a little slower for this part so you can see it. Get a little bit more yarn going. Alright, so you have 2 stitches left. From this side, you can't really see it. Looks like there's just one. But when you turn it this way, you can see there's a V here and a V here. So there's 2 stitches there. And once you do it, it makes it nice and straight edge. But if you skip it and continue to skip it, you're going to get smaller and smaller. You don't want that. But if you only skip one here and there, you're just going to have a weird pooch out. And that's not going to look the best either. I usually try to turn it like this so you can see the hole better. And then your double crochet. And then once you do that, see it lays nice and square. And now to finish the round, do chain 1 and turn. And you're going to keep doing this. Half double crochet, 20, chain 1 and turn for a total of 13 rows. So your tails will end up on the same side of the work. You won't have one on this side and one on this side. It will be both on this side. So we're doing an odd number. But I think you can probably handle it. I will do one more row and do the end just in case you need to see that part again. And then I will meet you back at the very end. Okay, I decided not to do that. I decided I will go ahead and do this first couple stitches too, just in case you need a reminder to go into the first stitch. sometimes I get confused in my own head, and I hate rewinding it just to look at that simple part. So yes, do make sure you go into that very first stitch. And if it helps to count them, so you don't have to do one row again if you mess up. There is 20 stitches, and I prefer to count the actual knot right here because it is just a single stitch in each one. There's no complicated parts to it. So I will just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then this is 20 right before it, that little chain. So there's 20 stitches in a row, which makes it easy to make sure you keep track of it. Alright, now I will put the camera down. I will do the middle stitches, and then I'll meet you back here at the end of this row. Okay, we are back at the end of the third row. I have 2 stitches left, so we will do those again together. So here's the first of the last 2. And the last one, again, like I said, turn it towards you, and you'll see that V shape. And just go in that one. And sometimes it is harder on these last ones to separate because they're so close together. And then chain 1 and turn. Okay, and you're going to do this, like I said, for a total of 13 rows. So we have 1, 2, 3 rows right now. So you have 10 more. So I will meet you back here for that 13th row. All right? Thanks, guys. Okay, I'm back. I got 12 rows done. So let's do our last row together. I did a chain 1 already, and I'm ready to start my row. So in that first loop again, half double crochet, and just make our way across the top, just like we did in all the other rows before this. Get some more yarn. They come up together very quickly, and really can easily be done within an hour. But if you're a slower crocheter, especially if you're still a beginner, it may take you twice that long, just because you have to go so much slower. Make sure your hook's hitting every hook stitch is going through the right spot, and just basic mistakes that you're going to make over and over until you get to be more seasoned as a crocheter. All that is perfectly normal and kind of expected as a beginner. But once you get going, it's very simple to complete and very quick workout. Makes a great gift. I'm gifting these 2 washcloths to my sister because she loves to use them to clean her face and to remove makeup and such like that, instead of the disposable wipes or cotton swabs or whatever. So cotton is very hypoallergenic usually. Don't know about this brand. It's the first time I've ever used it, so I don't know how the dye will be for hyperallergenic, but it should still do the job very nice. We have 2 stitches remaining. You can see them if I tilt it. So that one, and then this last one. Of course, the last one's always got to be a pain. Ugh. There's one loop, and there's the other one. Sometimes I have to do it that way to get them to go through the loops like they're supposed to. Okay, and there you have your square. So now we need to tie off. So we're going to pull up a bit of string. So we have our tail and just cut it. Then you're going to take and wrap the yarn tail around the hook and go through that loop and pull your yarn all the way out. I like to try to make sure it's nice and square, so I don't make it too tight to curve it. And then there you have your washcloth. Just now you to sew in your ends and it'll be complete. So let's do that part now. This is where you'll need your needle, and you just take your yarn and stick it in there just like you would a sewing needle and thread. And now you have a knot here, but because could easily get pulled back through it the other direction, you need to sew it in. Do not just clip it off and just let it go that way, because it will come out. So what you want to do is take your needle and kind of weave it through your stitches. I try to get at least work through several knots before I go through it. And then you're going to pull it, but don't pull it too tight because you don't want this to curve in. You want it to stay flat so it stays square. Frog in my throat. Now you want to work both inwards and outwards, so that way it knots in and it won't just come unraveled. Because if you just weave all in one direction, it's still going to come undone. So I'm going to actually go down to this next knot right here and work my way back up the same area I was just in. And again, don't pull too tight because you want your yarn to be tight, but you don't want to deform your washcloth. So this time I'm going to go back down, and I'm going to go down farther because I don't like it being on the edges, because you tend to have using that. You don't want to scratch. Like if you're using it to clean your face, you might use the corner to go along your nose or your eye, and you don't want to scratch, so you don't want any hard knots up there. And you want to try to go between the threads occasionally, so that really helps hold it in. Like so. And you can do this as much or as long as you want, especially if you have enough yarn left over. Now my other tail, it's not that long, so it won't be tied in as much, just because I will run out of yarn. But if I had made that longer, then of course I could have sewed it in a little bit more. If you're still worried about it coming undone after sewing it, you can take and dab a little bit of Elmer's glue where you're going to cut it. Like cut it just like right here, and then lay it over it, put some Elmer's glue. It'll keep it from moving for at least a little while. But then again, you have something to scratch you with, so I will just sew it in and then clip it and leave it. I don't think it needs the extra touch if you sew it in. Like I said, just keep working in opposite directions, so that way it's really got to work hard to get loose. Alright, I'm going to go down one more time, and then I'm just going to think that'll be good. I got a pretty good big gap. Let's work that through just a little bit more. There. Okay. Then you just take your scissors, and I try to pull it just a hair snug, clip it kind of close, and then relax it back out a little bit, and it'll pull the ends into the knot, and makes it virtually where you can't see it. Don't know where it ends, where it begins. Okay, let's do the other end. And then we are done. Now, sometimes with all these threads, you may have to wet your fingers a little bit to do it. But with these big old needle heads, usually you can just work them in there. Like so. Now, if you do lick them, I wouldn't want to gift it with some of my slobber in it. So you can wash it beforehand. But if you're just going to use it for yourself, then obviously that would not matter. And I don't know how many projects I do, but I always manage to get my own hair crocheted in it as much as I do yarn, seems. But I'm not concerned about that at this point. And if you have long hair, you'll probably end up having the same problem, or dog hair or cat hair, if you crochet with pets. So make sure if you're gifting it, you know, if you have an animal like that, about their allergies. You may need to wash projects before you give it to somebody else to remove that pet dander in the hair for allergy reasons. But I don't have to worry about that with this particular project. So I can just crochet and then I'm done. I think that will just about do it. That seems a little loose, so let's go back in it. It's not that hard, so it's kind of short. So I'm going to put my needle in first, put it where I want it to go, and then I'll put my yarn back in and pull it through so that way it goes where I want it to, because it's already gotten a little short. Just rethread it, and then you can just pull. And again, you're going to pull that little snug, clip your ends, and you can see right there, you can still see the little threads a little bit. But then you relax your yarn, wiggle it around a little bit, and then they disappear. They're tucked into that knot. And there you have it, a completed washcloth. And the ends may curl a little bit, but I tend to just fold it flat, get everything all flattened out, and let it sit. And that's usually fine. If you want to do it for a gift and you don't have time to let it just naturally flatten, you can spray a mist of water on it, lay it flat, and let it air dry, and then that will do the same thing. But this will work for now. There's 2 washcloths. You could put a cute little ribbon around it and a bow and gift it to somebody. Super easy, quick workup, and very handy and useful at the same time. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night. Okay, I forgot to mention also that I still have quite a bit of yarn left after the second washcloth, so I could probably make a third one with this, or something else. I might try to figure out something else to do with it. Might try to make a crochet bag for your soap bar to go into, which is called a soap saver. If I try to do that, I might try to record it so I can show you how to make that as well. But there's still plenty of yarn, so I will make something with it for sure, because can't let that good yarn go to waste. Something else I was going to say, I can't remember now. Yep, can't remember. Oh well, I cannot remember. Anyway, make sure you like and share this video if you liked it or if you tried to complete it. Comment below if you do complete it. I would love to hear if it worked great for you. if you had good experience with this video and pattern. Um, Make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell if you want to watch more of my videos from Lika Creations. And just have a great day. Thanks.